The race goes on. How would you sum up your team's performance tonight?
3-0 Brentford, 3-0 Crystal Palace. These are really tough opponents for the way they play. Yeah, really pleased. Try to be alive until, next game is Bournemouth and now focus in the final.
Really satisfying for you to make that many changes and still see the performance level of the team sort of that high?
Because we won, right?
You're a genius if it works, and if you're not, I'll get the questions would have been different, of course.
I trust a lot all of them. So sometimes it's for the way we played, for the way they shape, and sometimes Omar is always a guarantee, always is there in work ethic, and always is, the goals. And we played really, really good. I know the transition of them is tough. The set pieces is not difficult because they defend really well. Low block is tough, but we did it with patience and. I think we make the game we should play.
And how important as well, the freshness this will give the players that come into the team for the final on Saturday.
Especially Kova and Ryan. Jeremy was not ready, I think so, for the second half. It's not easy because 5 in the back, and Munoz was so close, Klein was so close, it's not easy to make the actions. But Ryan came really good, and Matteo especially was extraordinary. Ready for the final.
A few players give you a headache for the final, tough decisions to make with the quality of their performances tonight.
Yeah.
Phil Foden, for example, good to see him hit that level again.
This type of games you can prepare and where you have to move, where you have to that, but at the end you break for the quality. So it's simple. So we can talk about the managers, this and that, but after Phil in smaller spaces making incredible passing and finish for Antoine, and both decide the game. And the same, the chipping, the control for the second goal and the finishing. So otherwise, the talent don't appear in the final third, so it's impossible.
Did you feel, after half an hour, that the team just needed a spark that Phil and Antoine gave them? I wondered in that first half an hour whether the way that West Ham Arsenal game had finished had just kind of knocked the stuffing out of everyone a little bit.
We didn't think and talk about what happened the last game against our big rival to win the Premier League. It's just to do what I had to do, and always I thought, and I lived many times in this league many years, even in Barcelona and Bayern Munich, so attack low blocks is not easy, 10 players, but always I work in the day one how you attack low blocks, because to run transitions on defend and the other one is easy. And I had to be in the right spot and forget about it. Good clubs, top class players that make a spark for one player like Phil today, make the action, or Cherky in the last one, make an incredible in the right tempo, right moment, the pass from Savio. So it's no more complicated than that.
So how do you see this title race now? 10 days to go. Do you still see it? I mean, what's the plan from here on in? You just kind of have to keep them as honest as possible, keep the pressure on to the final day and see if something can happen?
No, of course I will not bring this option until the last game. Unfortunately, it's not in our hands. For many reasons. It's not easy, but important is we are there, and this group of players are all extraordinary. This season have been the joy absolutely every day we're with them, so have been really, really good. Now we have the final, and I could say Bournemouth and Aston Villa, they are not the easy ones, to take. But look, Bournemouth is playing for European competitions, the big ones, and is playing extraordinary. I don't know the last game they lost, but now we have take a break, and I think deserve all the attention and the credit. The FA Cup final and the last 2 years for many reasons that we didn't win.
Do you want to go into them?
No, it's not necessary to them. It's not necessary. I'm nice because when we lost, they didn't just congratulate United the Crystal Palace. But hopefully we can do like always, I believe. And I said for the day one, in this club, to win the games and win the titles, you have to be much better. So in equal the circumstances, you will not do it. So it's simple as that.
Okay. What circumstances?
You know that.
Okay.
Really? We might not know that. Look, he's certainly got a lot on his mind at the moment, Pep Guardiola. He's focused on the last couple of games of the season, but they've done what they had to do, Jamie.
Today, yeah, absolutely. Said it there. We just have to keep going and just hope as Micah said earlier on, maybe there's a little bit of pressure, maybe a few doubts that cross their mind and they struggle. I think Burnley will be straightforward, but Crystal Palace, and I was watching Pep at the end, he was certainly giving them a team talk and a half, trying to get them going for that game, and he was very, very animated. We always see him maybe going up to one or two players, but he's like, Jefferson, listen, in midfield, you've got to make sure you get close to Declan Rice. He said, don't worry about that. Listen, every time that ball goes up to the centre forward, look, you, Lacroix, you've been brilliant this year. You keep going. I'm like, if you keep doing good, I'll sign you. Adam, you control that midfield. But the thing is, most of these players won't be playing, I wouldn't have thought, so because they'll be rested. That's my feeling anyway. And they've earned that right.
Well, except that Oliver Glasner, when he was at Frankfurt, they had a European final. And in the final league game, 4 days before, nothing to play for, 13th in the table. And he played a really strong starting 11 in the final day of the season.
Maybe. Who knows?
All I'm saying, T22, he did it. I'm not.
You want to keep players
what he's going to
active and playing. You know, but there will be one or two. He will absolutely. He's a very measured manager. He'll make sure if people need the games, because obviously now with sports science, you understand who needs to play before the game and who doesn't. But if there's any risk whatsoever, he won't take that chance because it's such a big game for the club, Michael.
What do you think happens on the last day? Say Man City win at Bournemouth. And
that's not easy, by the way.
I know it's not.
That's not easy.
But what do you think on that last day? I think it's Arsenal's.
I do.
Without
I think
doubt
they'll go there and win. But it's not easy. Crystal Palace are a really difficult side. I always feel. I thought what you were like, Micah. Last day of the season, when you go away, there's a bit of a party atmosphere. Everyone's playing. You know, there's no pressure. So in that respect, everyone's looking forward to the cup final. It's not going to be a foregone conclusion. You know, we've seen it many, many times before. You know, we take it back to when Dad won the Premier League at Liverpool, and we were we'd had nothing to play for. Blackburn trying to come to win the title. I'm not saying that, you know, obviously there's a slight difference, but anything is still possible. We've seen it in the Premier League many, many times. Pressure does incredible things to people, but I just have a feeling that it's going to be Arsenal's this year.
Pep Guardiola talked about the differences between Arsenal and Manchester City and how it's kind of panned out across the course of this season. This is the worm. It's the strangest looking worm I've ever seen, but it is a worm, and it shows you their league positions across the course of this season. You can really see that peak for Manchester City when they've just kicked into gear, and then obviously for one brief moment they had it in their own hands.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal, look how long they've been at the top, and then Man City sort of kick into their gear. I think that Everton game, we've mentioned previously, but one thing I've noticed with Man City this season, they've been going ahead and not seeing games out. And that is the difference. Normally with Man City, when they go ahead, they punish you. But if you look here, points dropped from winning, 17.
Yeah.
For Manchester City, that is astonishing with the amount of control they normally have in games. So if Arsenal go and do it, they deserve it.
Yeah, when you look at that compared to what the average is under Pep Guardiola, which is less than 10. Yeah. And they've not close, well, close to doubling that. Also, things like not being able to come back into games when they've gone behind.
Look at that one, Kelly. That's incredible. Points drop when winning at half time. You know, Arsenal have only dropped 2. They've dropped 15. You know, that's not title-winning behaviour and not what we normally expect from them. If you look at other seasons, they average 5.8 goals from substitutes. City have always, I think, of Man City over the years. Michael, you will know better than anyone. This club has had so many opportunities for subs to come on and win you the game, but to only have 2
yeah.
And it hasn't obviously changed tonight. That's staggering.
Is that
as well.
on Guardiola then? Is that on him and the substitutes that he's bringing on? Is it about the squad? Is it about the level of, because they have depth, don't they? So they have players who can come on and make a difference.
Obviously an anomaly because they had so many good subs, but normally there's always players that can come on and make a difference. And yeah, I mean, even, you know, Reinders has been playing a lot, been sub a lot. You think, well, maybe he can come on. And that has been a difference, you know, because there's been so many times over the years when City have saved it from their substitutes. But there's a number of, and Pep said it himself, there's a number of reasons why they're in the position they are. They lost 2 out of their first 3 games as well, I think Brighton and Tottenham Hotspur. So that's not the start you want either. That's not really going to set you up for the season. But they've recovered really well. You know, Rodri's in and out of the team. He hasn't been perhaps the level that he normally is, but I think next year he certainly will be hitting those heights. But it's been a tough season for them, but they're still in the race.
Take a look at the job that he's done. OK, they've lost the game 3-0 here this evening. They made a lot of changes, as did Manchester City. Club's joint highest Premier League finish, a club record 53 points last season. They won the FA Cup last season as well, the club's first major trophy. Obviously, they've gone into major European competition and have got to the final of the Europa Conference League, which they will play 3 or 4 days after the end of the Premier League season. Is he Palace's greatest manager?
Yes, has to be. There's 2 trophies. If they win 2 trophies, well, winning the FA Cup is an incredible achievement itself. Beating Manchester City last year, if they can beat Real Vallecano, that'll be unbelievable. And you don't associate Crystal Palace with winning trophies, not in this current era. Obviously, they've done it before, but an unbelievable job. I actually think there's people getting mentioned for the job. Iraola's had a mention from Bournemouth, who's done an amazing job there. I'd be really nervous taking over from Oliver Glasner. The job that he's done there, the way that he improves players, winning trophies. This season, the Premier League hasn't been quite as good, but he's talked about the difficulties that he feels that he's faced with losing players. It's difficult, and they've not got the recruitment as well. Strand Larsen's got to do better next season for whoever that manager is. Brennan Johnson has to do better next year. And I don't know what the fit will be, because if you're going for Iraola, he's not a 3 at the back person. He likes to play a 4, normally 4-3-3 or whatever. He's obviously can vary it, but it depends if you want to fit to that system. But Oliver Glasner's a master at playing that way. Not all coaches want to play that way, but he has the right players to do it. I think it's really difficult, but they've got to be clever how they get it, because, as I say, especially if they win another trophy, almost an impossible job to a certain extent.
One more question to both of you. How strongly do you feel about Crystal Palace making changes for the final Premier League games of the season when they have a direct bearing on the outcome of the title race, potentially?
Well, they're not going to change all the players. They might give 4 or 5.
Well, Glasner has said this is about the 35 games in the build-up, and now we've got 3 games where we can utilise our squad. Is it utilising his squad, or is it?
Well, he's got a final to think about, so yeah, he's got to utilise his squad. I don't think there's.
So the answer is not particularly strong.
No wrongdoing there.
Sometimes you need that little bit of luck, the way the fixtures fall for you, but he'll still pick a strongish team, but if he leaves a couple out, they deserve that and they've earned that right to. So it won't question. I'll have no question marks on the integrity of the competition.
Well, Man City left out their big hitters today because they got the final, so you can't have it one way and not the other.
No, exactly.
He's got to use his squad how he sees fit.
Very relaxed Manchester City players, Pep Guardiola and Phil Foden there, as they would be after a 3-0 victory. But only a couple of games to go in this title race. And Phil Foden mentioned the 2012 season. It feels like we're talking about this a lot more as the season goes on. I think probably because they have that late game against Arsenal late in the season, as the title-winning side of 2012 did against Manchester United, who were their title rivals. Mm-hmm. And the fact that this one could go down to the final game of the season, could be decided on goal difference. It could come down to all these tiny margins. That's why it feels like there are those same parallels.
Yeah, I think it will go down to the last game of the season. I just remember that season where QPR at home, as everyone knows the famous Aguero goal, but everyone talks about nerves and confidence and all that sort of thing. And I just remember being in the dressing room before the game, and I could feel the tension. You know, normally you have leaders in the dressing room where you look to them, and if they're cool, it makes you feel better. At times in the dressing room, it wasn't like that. There was a nervy feeling, and that's why when we talk about can Man City catch Arsenal,
were you more like Arsenal in that situation?
We'd never won it before. We'd never won it before, and we was up against Sir Alex Ferguson, the great Man United team, and before the game, I remember looking to my right and Vincent Kompany, and he's normally just in the zone, but he was fidgeting. He was fidgeting. That's what I'm thinking. Is he nervous? And then the game played out. But before that, I had the whole thing of, am I starting? Because I started more than Zabaleta in the season in terms of right back. I got an injury, and then Zabaleta played, and Mancini was very superstitious and didn't want to change it. And I was thinking, when he's writing the names on the board, he's mad because you're looking when he does it to go down, and I'm thinking wait for the Richards. He used the second name, but he went Zabaleta. So I'm raging before the game. I'm thinking QPR. I want to be playing the biggest game in the history for years, and then I was sulking. I was sulking on the bench, thinking I want to be that. And not even that. The way the game went, in terms of Mancini, when it got to 60, 70 minutes, it would always go to 5 at the back. But that game didn't pan out that way. It was we scored, QPR scored, then they scored again. So he's going to put attacking players, not defending. So I'm on the bench just sulking. And then I was thinking about me. I thought, it's not about me, it's about the team. Look at the effort for the whole season.
Took you a while.
I know, it did take me a while. Then Dzeko scored. And then you start to believe then. And you're thinking, who's a top player who can do something for you? And it could only be someone like Sergio Aguero. And that moment still, you know, I get nervous, I get shivers when I'm talking about it because I never believe I would win a Premier League. Winning the FA Cup the season before was enough for me. I come through the academy, I missed out on the Youth Cup, got to the final, lost against Liverpool, but then to win an FA Cup, that was enough for my career. To win a Premier League, it was the best feeling ever. And that's why for Arsenal, the similarities are...
Mind games here, isn't it? As he's opening
I feel like you should be in the dressing room. This should be you'd be in the dressing room pre-match.
Are you okay?
No, I'm still okay. I've just got over it now. And then for Arsenal on one side are going through that. And there'll be things that they've had along the season where it gets you up, it gets you down. But even with the experienced players that we had, there was always nerves. And that's why if it goes down to last game of the season, anything can happen.
It's the same in every sport, isn't it? You know, you see even the greats, once pressure comes on them, do strange things.
Correct.
I remember thinking about, Rory McIlroy wanted the Masters so badly.
Yes.
And the first time, and he's hit a shot on 13 that was just so uncharacteristic of him. But that's what pressure does. And it's the same with the Premier League. You know, Arsenal want it, the manager wants it, desperation. Yes. And they feel like they climbed the mountain on the Sundays. So anything can still happen. But I'm sticking with it. I just think Arsenal have come this far now. But I love the speech, and I love the mind games, and I hear you, Mike. And you're building it up beautifully to the end of the season.
Let's hope it goes to the last day of the season.
But the other thing was, in that lovely, beautiful story
all
was...
I said was, is it like 2012?
But the amazing thing was, he started Zabaleta, and do you know what he did in that game? He scored as
well. Just to rub salt in everyone's face.
The manager got it right.
It's why Mike is celebrating in high vis.
Well, let's get back to Phil Foden.
So getting back to Phil Foden.
It's about me, yeah.
There's still 2 more games to go in this season. Manchester City have made sure that they can take this at least, a couple of games further.
This, Kelly, is the assist of the season.
This from Phil Foden is
Micah,
incredible
you loved
for
this,
Antoine Semenyo. Go on, Micah, you wanted to see a big game from Phil Foden.
No, the reason why, and I said before we started on the show, is I want him to do so well because he comes through the academy. It means more. So to produce this from the academy, his vision, and then to execute that pass, it's just mesmerising to me. And I know he's not had the best of seasons, but in a World Cup, when he needs something special, he can produce that. And he's not played the best for England at all. But when I see him, like the season he had a couple of seasons ago where he was Player of the Year, and he's just got that magic. And I just wish he could have showed it more this season.
Similarly for Semenyo as well, because that was his first goal in 6 games. He was asked about this assist and said he did mean it. He was just helping it on because he knew where the defender was.
Well, it was an amazing pass from Guardiola to start, but then just, like you said, it was a little bit scruffy. I was happy for Marmoush as well. No Haaland, obviously, today had to step in his shoes. And he played well. I talked about his movement. He's moving, being in the right place, right time. But then, again, you know what? I don't know if he did mean that, to be honest. But he's still an assist.
But he only had 3 Premier League assists before today, so you can understand why he's going to take every single one in that situation.
Well.
And it will go down, obviously, as an assist. And that's back-to-back goals for Marmoush, which is the first time he's done that for Man City.
Look how close he keeps that ball to his foot. It's like it's Velcro to it. So good, and he just waits for the perfect time for Savinho. Look, he just hurdles that challenge there, and then he's off, and it's close to his foot, and his head's up all the time, not looking at the ball. He waits, and just slides that ball through perfectly. That is so good. This guy has been an absolute revelation this season. He's a joy. It was a cameo. I'm not sure how long he came on for, 20 minutes, but some of the things he did were worth the entrance fee for City fans, because we were both waxing lyrical over it. He is just a wonderful footballer to watch. But just going back to Foden and Bernardo Silva today, we're in a day and age in football where people talk about data and they talk about physicality and they talk about power. Those 2 midfield players, it must be the smallest central midfield partnership in the last 10 years, surely. And you played with the great David Silva. But I loved the fact that they didn't out-muscle Crystal Palace, but they outthought them with their brain, with their intelligence, and the way they moved the ball to each other. They intercepted passes. They have no right, those two, to compete in a central midfield area. Normally you say, well, we're trying to pick the team before the game. And I'm thinking, well, surely he's got a bit of physicality in there, the way the game is now. Maybe he goes with, I know we were thinking Aït-Nouri's a bit more attacking or a bit more aggressive, bring him inside, or Núñez comes into midfield. But to go with those two, it was just a joy, because it gave me a little bit of hope, because sometimes the small man in terms of football, but the big brain can win. You know, it's not all about how far you can run and how high you can jump and how many tackles you can win. I thought those two were magnificent today.
But how hard is that to do what them two did without the physical strength?
Yeah, but they don't have to outpower people. They just outthink them. They've got the brain, they've got the football intelligence. You know, the ball comes into them, they're lending it to each other. They knew they'd wait for the pass, they'd suck people in and then they'd play round them. They didn't intercept passes, they won headers. They've got a massive... I've always looked at Bernardo Silva, and I asked you a question, where does he rank in the Man City greats? You know, because they've got a pantheon of amazing players since I talk about this latest era, since Vincent Kompany, if you like. He has to be up there. I don't know where he is in the top 10 or number one, but it's a really difficult poll, isn't it?
I don't want to disappoint anyone, you know, I'll be getting texts later on, but he's in probably the top 10. Let's not forget Yaya, David Silva, Aguero, Kevin De Bruyne. The list goes on and on. Yeah. Even the likes of...
But his heart and desire. You need your Bernardo Silvas, don't you?
I think what's the best about Bernardo Silva, you can put him anywhere. You can put him right back, left back, centre half, centre mid, up front, and his performance levels don't drop. And I think that's because he's so quick with his thoughts and what he wants to do. Technique as well, you know, he's got technique. And he's just been an unbelievable servant to the club. I'm sad to see him leave. Feels like everyone's leaving every year.
Yeah.
Phil Foden at the club, and potentially you put the case for him going to America, going to the US, Canada, Mexico for the World Cup this summer. Do you think that that's something that Thomas Tuchel will look seriously at doing, given the fact that there is a freshness to him, you know, more than a lot of the number 10s haven't played that much football this season?
I think just because it's a 26-man squad, if I'm not mistaken, it used to be 23, and I know some of them players are not going to play, but there's certain games where you're going to be up against teams who play a low block, and I feel as though he's the one who can unlock a door. And I know he likes Morgan Rogers, fantastic. He does it in a different way, more dribbling, more intense with his pressing. But in terms of the passing, the football brain, the IQ, I would be taking him. And I know he's not performed that well for England. You know, you want more. Sometimes he's played false nines, not quite worked for him. But just something who can bring something different. When you've got a big squad and you're thinking, well, what can he give me? He can give you that pass. He can give you that technique.
How many people can deliver that assist, Micah?
Not many. Exactly my point.
Football, you know, Cherky can do it.
They've got Bellingham playing in that position as well, and he's one of the best in Europe at doing those sort of things. Maybe a little bit different in terms of the way he wants to run into the box, but he can score goals in a different way.
Do you think he gets in?
I don't think he gets in. I hope and pray he gets in. I mean, if his form towards the end of the season, but the problem is he's probably not going to start, Jamie. Because Cherky has been so fantastic this season. But if I was picking a squad, he would 100% be in.
Great, we didn't mention the finish. What a great finish as well. It's such a good finish by Semenyo. Top season he's had.
Yeah, he's been brilliant. He's coming, he's fitting so well. He hits that shot early, and yeah, he's been a fantastic.
You quite liked him as a 9 today, didn't you?
Yeah, he was holding it up. It was absolutely brilliant. I loved him. But he's played with their Haaland, and he was nicking all Haaland's goals, wasn't he? And I thought he went back out to right, but today he was playing more centrally. I thought he had a really good game.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot with Manchester City, about the wingers and whether or not they make that decision to shoot, or whether or not they...
And they're sharing the goals around now in different games after that. People saying over-reliance on Haaland. I mean, Savinho's second ever Premier League goal, actually, but they're weighing in different games in different areas. Yeah, and again, I think they are reliant on Haaland, and so they should be, because he's one of the best at doing that when he's in the team. But obviously when they're not, and he's not in the team, they do create opportunities and chances in a different type of way. So they're just playing to individual strengths. That you're not going to play the same ball to Savinho as you are to Erling Haaland, and vice versa. So it's recognising who's in possession, who the chances for, and creating opportunities that way. Talking of creating opportunities, this man certainly did tonight. Man of the match, Phil Foden.
It seems like a special night for you, no? Personally, we really saw you enjoying your football. How could you describe what happened today?
Yeah, like you said there, I was just enjoying my football. Played a little bit deeper today, but really enjoyed it. A lot of touches, getting involved in the game a lot. It helped me grow into the game and come back to myself. So, yes, really happy to help the team. Thought it was a great performance. There's such a tricky side to break down at times. But yeah, I think overall, I think we all have to be happy with the result.
What did Pep say to you in that hug after you were subbed out? I don't know if you when you were so out. Yes.
I can't really remember, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. I was just dead, to be honest, because I haven't played for a while. My legs was gone. But yeah, I can't remember.
Okay, how would you sum up your season personally wise?
Two different sides. I think the first half of the season really good, and then obviously the second half a little bit less. But you know, it happens to loads of footballers. You just got to keep going, keep believing in yourself, and you know, I'm a team player. I try and help the team as much as I can. I'm always ready to try and help them whenever I get the opportunity, and I know it takes everyone to win titles. So yeah, so we have to keep believing. Just keep trying to do our job, don't think too much, just play our football, play our game, and like I said, anything can happen in football. We've seen it before, so yeah, it's exciting. You know, we've still got also an FA Cup as well to win, so still a lot to play for. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Phil.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Just TV, man. Thank you, man.
Yeah, they said. Body language wise, he looks in a good place there, Phil Foden.
He should be. Again, we don't know what's happened or gone on away from the pitch, but on the pitch tonight, he was back to his best. So I don't know why he wouldn't be smiling and look as happy as he should be after a performance like that. And yeah, he was honest about how the season's gone and fair assessment. Strong first half, not so strong second half, but now when it's the business end of the season and the last 4 or 5 games, there's an opportunity to really build the momentum and stake a claim, especially with the World Cup coming.
Yeah, 82 minutes he played tonight. That's his most since January the 4th, which is why he probably said I was dead on my feet when he came off.
Do you know, he's such a nice lad. I think he was just trying to be nice. Do you know what I mean? He's just an amazing player. He's got great skill, great endurance. Technically, he can do everything. He's got speed. He literally has everything, Phil. I know he was an academy player and he's come through. Imagine what he would cost in the prices of some of these players, you know, the market values. And he could make so many teams in the world better. I know he hasn't played that much, but today, playing a little bit deeper...
He said he enjoyed that, more touches.
Do you know what we said? We were joking. I mean, this is just amazing. But, you know, I just thought he had a huge impact on the game. Bernardo played deeper where Rodri plays and kind of controlled the game, which allowed Phil to kind of... go and find these little pockets of space, and he's smart. You know, we always say good players find space. Look, Phil always finds space. Obviously, he gets a little bit lucky there, but I just thought his overall impact on the game, everything he did, Jolien, his weight of pass,
decision-making.
You know, like the switch, everything was right.
Yeah, it was clean. His technique is clean, and again, they're the passes that you're thinking, that's the level of confidence you need to have. And seeing the pictures, I don't think... they were questioning his ability, but then you get moments like this that go, yeah, see you later.
Even that pass, Johnny, it looks like nothing, but the weight of it's like, boom, and he fizzed in. Everything he did had
this touch, again, they're the little bits that are probably unique to him.
Yeah, you're right.
And Cherky, possibly you're looking and thinking there's probably only 2 players on the pitch that could do them things in these areas and see the pictures and make it. And again, it's a new facet to his ability and his game, the fact that he's trusted deeper, because there's a lot more defensive responsibility. It isn't just about getting on the ball and making things happen and looking good. It's about, are you in the right positions to notify their attack? And
even that little header.
Yeah.
You know, that, you know, it breaks. It's such an important thing, I think, when you're going to play in that midfield. I thought him and Bernardo Silva, even though they're not the biggest, I thought they controlled the game, but they dovetailed really well. And I think the biggest thing for Phil is sometimes you've seen him, he hasn't smiled. He looked happy today, and I think when you're happy, you can play with confidence.
76 touches, it hasn't hardly played, but that's the most since December. But that's what City fans want to see, him on the ball as often as possible.
Definitely, and I do think the probably natural progression for him is taking over from Bernardo in regards to his role in the team. I think it's not all then about goals and assists. It's about the contribution. How can you control the tempo of the game? And there's not many better than Phil Foden at doing that. So if they can find a way to develop that skill rather than just when we ever talk about Phil, it's how many goals has he got, how many assists has he got. It's not always the case. Even Doku's stats-wise isn't as great as other wingers in the league. But if you talk about how impactful he is on the game, then you recognise his ability.
I mean, Phil hasn't really played in the last 6 months, but I think in terms of goals, assists, he's probably got the same amount as Doku, in and around. So that tells you, I mean, in the last month we've been saying Doku might be arguably the best player in the Premier League. So I think the impact he could have on the team. I think with Phil is people don't understand how quick he is and how explosive he is. So often you see him, he's always running. Pep, I think, sometimes likes players like Rodri and Bernardo that stand still. And I think if he can develop that and he stands up, then he can use his burst of pace. But I thought today we saw a glimmer of him maybe playing a little bit deeper when Bernardo leaves next season.
That's a great point.
They manipulate the ball. He's probably more explosive than Bernardo. It's probably just the defensive aspects of it, like them headers that we've seen, and understanding the positioning and being a bit more patient out of possession, because we know Phil Foden loves to get on the ball, but there's going to be times where you're not going to be involved in this attack. You need to kind of solidify the kind of counter-attack, and can he recognise them moments?
And off he goes. We'll have to cryptically try and work out what Pep was talking about, unique circumstances.
To be fair, he frazzled me before the game. I don't want to think about it now. Do you know what? He's just the best. He's the best kind of... he just finds... He's the best innovator I think we've had in this game. Obviously, we've had some iconic managers, Sir Alex and, Arsene Wenger and Mourinho, but I just think Pep has taken the game to another level in terms of kind of the innovation. And today, honestly, I don't know what his formation was. There was 2 centre-backs, and it looked like a 4 and a 4, and I've never seen that before. But you know what? It worked. A lot of his players had space, a bit of freedom, and I think it surprised Crystal Palace.
Standards as well. We continue to talk about this with the top elite managers who are serial winners.
His pass is probably something very simple, but he treats every action as if it's 0-0. And that's how you get the winning mentality that his team and he has. I think it's a level of frustration, but he kind of forgets it within the next action. So he doesn't dwell on it, he doesn't hold it against players, he doesn't hold grudges. It's, can we be consistent? And the process is equally as important as the outcome.
Driving standards continuously.
That's why you're better off sitting in this chair and not getting stressed out on the side there with that. But do you know what? I think that was about 80th minute, and it was 2-0 up.
Yeah.
I think they were level on goals, weren't they, with Arsenal at that point? And I think he was thinking, I need 2 or 3 more. Do you know, we need a couple more in case something happens with Arsenal, they draw. Could it be on goal difference? So I think it was that. It was that there was a ball that went out wide, it was a bit lazy. Sir Alex was like that. If the way to pass wasn't right, he used to come in and go mad. And I think for Pep in that moment, that pass, it was like, come on, guys, we got 10 minutes, we could get a couple more goals. And that could be, Johnny, we know that could be the difference in a title race. And again, you're right, Steve, it looks intense, but that's the standards you set. And I think he's created that. That's why he's won 16 trophies at Man City. And it might be 17 on the weekend, but standards he set has just been incredible.
See Joleon up nicely for that. He knows what it's like to win a title on goal difference, didn't he?
Yeah. Been trying to do my best.
You were sort of, what's the word, salviating over Bernardo Silva as well tonight, weren't you, in that deeper role and some of his touches.
Do you know what? I think Pirlo was the one that said to Carlo Ancelotti at AC Milan, he said, let me play a little bit deeper, let me play in that little pocket. And Bernardo played in there on his own. Honestly, he just ran the game completely. I mean, we talk about like sports and football and athletics, it's like speed and pace and power. Bernardo's probably 5'7", 70 kilos, and he made the game look so easy in there. He obviously runs everywhere. He's only 31 years old, but he is one of my favourite players to watch in the last 10 years. So consistent, Joe.
And that's the thing but he's transformed his position, his role in the team, and I think that goes unnoticed. The fact that he hasn't always played as a centre midfielder. He's played as a right winger. He's played sometimes up front. Then he went into like the number 10 role, and now he's a number 6. And he's played number 8, so...
And he's as good at all the positions?
Yeah. He's affected the game in all them roles, and the willingness and the selflessness you have to have to adapt your game when the game is only about stats, and his stats are probably not as impressive on paper as other players in the league. But if you asked any player in the league, the toughest opponent and who would they want in their team, he'd be right up there.
And you know, it says a lot. I think Pep, I think he had that captain by committee, didn't he? Before in this season, he said, Bernardo's.
I think that's the first.
I made that mistake last season.
Yeah, I think it's the first time he's chose who he wants to lead the group, and that shows something about his character and the fact that the players respect him, because not only is he a top performer, but he's ever present, and that is a unique ability in itself.
Yeah, and obviously that last game against Aston Villa, they hope obviously there's something on it, will be his last at the Etihad for Manchester City.
Yeah, him and John Stones, two exceptional performers for Man City. Was it 9 years at the club for Bernardo? So, again, I don't remember. Early in the season, he kind of looked a little bit leggy, but apart from that, I don't remember a period of time when you're questioning his ability, you're questioning whether he can play at the level. And then as the season gone on, he's developed into probably arguably the most important player.
He'll get some send-off. I mean, they've had a few over the years, De Bruyne recently, David Silva, company, but Guerrero, but over that period of time, but he'll get some send-off, Bernardo Silva. When you speak to City fans, he's so popular.
Honestly, he's just one of the nicest football players I think you could ever...
He's the nicest human being.
That's what I mean. I don't think you could make somebody as humble, as talented, to play 7 positions equally, not make it about him ever. No stats. It's, you know, he's the ultimate teammate, and he's only 31, Steve. He's going to go somewhere and play a huge part, whether that's Barcelona, Real Madrid or Benfica, whatever it is. He's going to go to a massive team, and a club is going to get somebody really special. I think Luka Modric is 40 and still playing. Bernardo's game was never on speed.
Mm-hmm. He'll play similarities in terms of the durability there for longevity.
I think Real Madrid needs somebody to control the game in the middle of the park. Obviously lost, you know, Casemiro, Kroos and Modric. He's only 31. I think they need somebody to, you know, and also with professionalism. You look at the chaos that surrounds that club. You need somebody with standards, Jolien. And I think Bernardo walks in and has respect from everyone. You can pass on the ball at any point, and he's just a super player. What a servant he's been to the Premier League. And
as you alluded to, John Stones as well, who arrived in Pep's first transfer window. Not just on the field, but off the field. They're losing a lot of leadership there, aren't they? And a lot of strong character.
Yeah,
in that dressing room.
Definitely. I think it's probably going to be slightly easier to lose John Stones because of the personnel they have in reserve. They've got Nathan Ake might be leaving, but they've got Mark Gay, Ruben Diaz, Guardiola, Kushinov. But again, his presence and probably more his quality is unique as a centre-half. We've seen especially his performance in the Champions League final, I think.
And what a reception he got when he came on tonight.
And he should do. And hopefully there's opportunity to give him more game time before the end of the season. I know Pep isn't just about sentiment in regards to just playing players for the sake of it, but hopefully there's an opportunity for him to get more game time. Again, for him, for World Cup, but I genuinely believe he's underappreciated now, but when he retires, we'll appreciate how good of a centre-half he is.
Probably one of the most naturally gifted centre-backs we've ever produced.
Played every single second in the last 4 major tournaments for his country. Hasn't missed a second, a heartbeat.
Do you know what? And I think when you think back to when he kind of came in at City, and he was playing with all that risk and making a lot of mistakes, and everybody was like, you don't have to show how great a player you are, just simplify his game. And then he did. He went for that space where, he just simplified his game, stopped making mistakes, and then he was allowed to show his ability. And for me, what summed up John Stones was his performance in the Champions League final against Inter. Honestly, it was breathtaking the way he went into midfield and ran the game as a centre-back, and then played as a right-back and went into midfield. And again, another one. I know he's had some injury issues, but he'll go on and play another 3 or 4 or 5 years for somebody. And these guys that win, that are leaders, that have standards, I honestly think they're priceless, because Man United went through a phase when they won all those trophies. They lost about 10 captains of the country in a 3 or 4 year window, and they almost haven't recovered since. So losing, obviously they lost Kevin and David Silva and now John Stones and Bernardo. These guys, you don't find them.
Trees, do they?
No, you don't. You really don't.
But you can create them, and they've done that, because you got to think Bernardo and John Stones weren't that when they came to the club. There was like Vinny and David Silva, similar mould. So now you've got to expect other players like Mark Erling Haaland, Donnarumma,
Phil
Foden to step up and to lead the next batch of players and develop into them leaders. And we was the same with Vinny. Vinny wasn't the version of Vinny at the end. At the start, we had the likes of Yaya.
Or even like Vieira was in there,
Patrick
like as a
Vieira.
mentor.
Yeah.
And I think the City have done an incredible job of, like you said, finding these mentors and mentoring.
Kyle Walker's another one.
Exactly, and then mentoring kind of the younger lads, and then they eventually, if United used to do it brilliantly, and then they'd leave, and then those lads would take over. And I think City have done incredible. You think about all those guys that they lost, and any other team, you think, you know, you'll never recover from that. But obviously, with John and Bernardo leaving, other lads are going to have to step up, and I think they will. You know, I think they've seen how it's done at the top, and these guys will come into it naturally.